Welcome to a very special edition of The Gas. If things sound a little different than normal, that's because we are on location at the New York International Auto Show. And when I say we, I mean myself and Alex Nunez, because this is the Gary and Alex Show. How's it going, Alex?
It's going well, man. How are you?
This is a big show for New York. It's been a while since we've had half a dozen new cars revealed.
It feels like it's been forever since we've had this many new cars at the New York Auto Show. So it's actually a very eventful show, not just for media, but like people that come to the show this week, they're going to see some actual new stuff.
It's fun, and a lot of the cars are actually going to be made in the United States, which is why American Cars and Racing likes this show a lot. And we do have to kick things off with this bad boy right here, which is the show stopper. It's the Hyundai Boulder concept.
Yes.
Last year they showed off the Hyundai Crater concept, which is a cool off-roader. This is actually, even though it's an SUV, it's a preview of their upcoming body-on-frame truck that they're going to be building in the United States by 2030. They haven't told us exactly when, but it's going to be a mid-size pickup, and then I guess they're going to do an SUV that looks like this Crater.
I certainly hope so, because it looks great. And, a lot of the chatter as I was on the train coming in this morning was how it looks like, could be a Bronco competitor. Yeah, that's certainly what this is. I mean, it's very obvious what the bogey was in terms of the inspiration and benchmarking and everything else is. So, but if this is the direction Hyundai is going to go with body on frame and sort of off-road capable vehicles, this is very exciting.
Very boxy, definitely Bronco-sized, Wrangler-sized. The concept has 37-inch off-road tires, solid rear axle. Hyundai's not saying what kind of powertrain it has yet. Not going to be electric. I think we're pretty sure about that much. But maybe a hybrid. We'll see about that. They're doing a lot of hybrids these days. And they're making a big point that not only was this designed for the United States, but it's going to be made in the United States and built with steel manufactured by Hyundai Steel here in the United States. So they're all in on the U.S. manufacturing.
Listen, this is what everything has been moving towards over the last, year and a half or so of the new administration. Has been a big push to sort of reindustrialize. Here in the U.S., Hyundai is taking it all very seriously, and as a result, looks like we have some really quality stuff in the pipeline that is going to be heavily U.S. sourced for this market.
They're talking about building 80% of their cars in the United States that are sold here by 2030. They've got more than 30 Hyundai models on the way, and they just told us today more than 20 Genesis models on the way. Now, I'm guessing they're counting trims and whatnot.
I mean, what they're doing is they're sort of filling in where other automakers kind of aren't. Hyundai still has, very prominently a sedan in Elantra that is not going anywhere anytime soon, even though we're seeing the Sonata go away after this generation. And Genesis also, Genesis started as with two sedans into a total SUV market, and now you go walk over by the Genesis stand, it is a full spread SUVs, interesting sedans. They have the station wagon G90 concept, which is fantastic. But again, very serious approach to building out lineups that have broad appeal to the sort of customer set that each brand talks to.
And as far as the Boulder is concerned, it will be interesting to see how the market likes this. Because, we've got the Bronco and the Wrangler. When the Bronco came back, it definitely stole Wrangler sales. But then off to the side, you've got the Toyota 4Runner and the Toyota Land Cruiser, which are almost like their own thing. But they do compete with the Bronco and the Wrangler, even though the tops don't come off. At least on this concept, the top doesn't come off this, but that could change by the time they build it. And again, they are going to plan on launching the pickup truck version of this first, which, if it looks anything like this, it will definitely stand out.
If this is a hint at what the sort of rugged styling language for this new platform is going to be, they're going to have busy dealerships.
Now, as far as the American brands at the show, a couple of launches. We've got the Ford Expedition 30th anniversary edition. Do you think there's a lot of Expedition owners that are celebrating the 30th? Do you think there's any Expedition owners who have owned Expeditions for 30 years?
There probably are, because, these big SUVs, whether you're talking about an Expedition or like on the GM side, Suburban, people sort of latch on to nameplates and hang on, especially with the US ones. What I'll say about the 30th anniversary Expedition is that is a great color. and Ford should be spraying that color on pretty much everything.
It's the blue ember that launched with the Mustang Dark Horse. Now they've decided to put it on their biggest SUV. Beyond that, though, it's got 30 years badging, white interior with the 30 years embossed into the center armrest. One disappointment for me on this model, which I think is going to end up pricing out at about $80,000 all in, is that it's got the standard Expedition engine, 400 horsepower, and you can't spec it with the 440 high output. I mean, I feel like if you're going to put Mustang paint on the truck, you should let me get the more powerful engine.
I feel like the customer for that car is not going to sweat that nearly as much.
Dodge also has a anniversary edition SUV here. It's the Durango America 250. It's not the Durango's anniversary.
Yep.
It's America's anniversary. Stellantis, all the brands are coming out with these celebratory models. They're actually an official partner with the America 250 Foundation, although other automakers are doing the same sort of thing. Stars and stripes, but they're black on the hood. You get a white version of it. It's got American flags on the fenders, again black. You really got to get inside before you get the red, white, and blue. You've got the blue inserts in the seats and red, white, and blue stitching. I still feel like they could take these farther. In fact, it's annoying me because in another part of the show, they've got a couple of trucks that they built when they announced their partnership with America 250 down in Washington, D.C., and they are emblazoned in red, white, and blue decals and graphics and flags. And I feel like I should have the opportunity to buy something like that instead of this black tinted American style.
Well, the other ones that are on display are much closer in spirit to what we saw in 1976 when we had bicentennial versions of everything. Everybody's playing it very safe with just these sort of black on black or like glossy black on a matte black thing because I feel like they're afraid people don't want to, take that extra step. But I feel like there is so little color in new cars, especially when you consider that, dealers are always ordering the most boring colors because they move them fast enough. It would be really fun to see more enthusiastic embrace of the sort of red, white, and blue, old school style, like tape stripe packages. But I guess, whatever, we're talking to the wall. That's not happening. The cars are here. I'm sure they'll find an audience. And I was distracted by the Hellcat Durango that was next to the bicentennial one. Anyway.
And they do those jailbreaks where you can totally customize them, and they're available in a variety of colors.
Well,
so I wish they pulled it out for the American version.
Stellantis has a cornucopia of great colors always, especially with the performance vehicles. So I just keep looking back that way at the Stellantis display right off camera.
Along with the Durango, Chrysler rolled out the new Pacifica for 2027. The Pacifica first went on sale in 2018. This is actually its second mid-cycle refresh. Don't see that too often in the car world. Basically what they've done this time is they made the front end look more like a Kia than a Chrysler, with a new fascia and grille and lighting arrangement, very jagged, very linear,
very
light
Decepticon looking. But and I think, like we said on, I think it was the last episode, this is the LX platform of family vehicles. This Pacifica generation is going to hang around until they literally, by some sort of regulation, can't sell it anymore.
I'm curious to see if this is what the other new Chryslers look like, or if this is kind of a one-off style that they had been working on for a while, and now it's like they're stuck with it. Oh, now we got to reboot the brand completely.
Well, I guess that remains to be seen. I feel like there's so much opportunity with Chrysler. I mean, there is no lineup, obviously, and with the platforms they have available to them with Dodge's SUVs and obviously the new Charger, which is great. I mean, you would love to see a 300 or Imperial or something of that sort of stature on that new Charger platform. It's huge, it's comfortable, and it really is actually well suited to something that's probably a little more formal than the Dodge.
I mean, the Dodge itself feels like such a premium product. I mean, you could easily convince me that's worth $100,000 if you had the right powertrain and all that. The interior is fantastic. The body work. One thing about Dodge, the bodies look great, and then the paint quality always seems so spectacular. I mean, I'm looking at it right now from where we're standing, and those things are just gorgeous.
Well, they always do really well, not just with paint, but it's all the little details. You mentioned the interior, like the textures and everything. whatever you're paying, you're getting what you pay for, and it's inside and outside. They're really good at doing different wheels and things like that add just enough sort of visual panache that you feel like absolutely nothing is being mailed in here.
Couple other American-made cars that are launching here, but not from American brands. Subaru, which is one of the other companies that likes to unveil things here in New York, brought 2 new models. One's sort of a mix and match. It's the first Forester Wilderness Hybrid, combining the hybrid powertrain with that off-roady wilderness spec. I'm a fan of both of those things, and in the regular Foresters, the hybrid gets 35 miles per gallon with an all-wheel drive system. We tested that a couple of months ago, and it was great. And of course, the Wildernesses are just a riot off-road with that 9.3 inches of ground clearance and the crazy bodywork and those all-terrain tires. I mean, it's pretty much a no-brainer. That one's a winner, and they'll be building that in Indiana.
Absolutely. And, we were joking earlier when we were over at the Subaru stand. The Wilderness are like the perfect New York car, even though just because for potholes and getting your doors dinged and everything, these things have more cladding than like every Pontiac ever built in the 80s and 90s. And it's all sort of very functional. So I think it looks great. The new SUV, the Highlander-derived Getaway, also very interesting, was getting a bunch of attention just now. Subaru always comes correct at the New York Auto Show. They always have a debut, and it's just more good stuff.
Yeah, the Getaway is interesting. It's the 4th electric vehicle that Subaru is launching in partnership with Toyota. Basically it's not a perfect port of the new Toyota Highlander, which is only going to be available as an electric vehicle this year. Subaru at least puts a unique grille on it, and the powertrain tune is unique. 420 horsepower, 0 to 60 in less than 5 seconds for a 3-row family electric vehicle, and they're saying more than 300 miles of range. It's interesting, a couple years ago, everybody was whining that Toyota wasn't moving fast enough into the electric vehicle segment. Of course, Subaru was nowhere in it. Now these two brands are like leading the way as everybody else is sort of moving away from it. And you wonder, is it inertia or have they played the long game and it's actually going to work out?
I feel like Toyota only plays the long game. They waited. They already dominated battery electric in general with the hybrid system. I mean, pretty much everything that Toyota sells, almost everything, is a hybrid. And if there was a brand that I would trust to sort of, if they're late to the game, they're coming late very well prepared. And so it's interesting. I think it's interesting to watch. It is a little jarring, like you said, because they took a lot of flack during the sort of early EV conversations because they weren't there. It's very interesting to see them now coming full bore with like the general interest in EVs, like sort of stepping back, but I feel like they have all the bases covered.
Another brand that brought 2 new models to the show. They're U.S. reveals, although we've seen them before because they're both sold in other countries. Kia with the electric EV3 and the new Kia Seltos, all new Kia Seltos. It's subcompact SUV. They made it a little bit bigger this time because every time vehicles get
substantially bigger.
Yeah, every time vehicles get redesigned these days, they have to grow a little bit, but it is still smaller than the Sportage. They've got the X-Line version now, 8.1 inches ground clearance. Not an off-roader, but you can get it with all-wheel drive. Interesting thing about this, they have 3 powertrain options. 147 horsepower 4-cylinder, 190 horsepower turbocharged 4-cylinder, and then a hybrid version of the Seltos. They haven't given the specs on that one yet, but I mean, if that's getting 40 miles per gallon in this size segment with the styling this thing has, which basically looks like a mini version of the Telluride or the Kia EV9, this thing is going to be a slam dunk.
I agree. It's the right. It's this size is very popular. Obviously, that compact, that sort of generic compact crossover SUV is right there, and they've nailed the styling again. But Kia and Hyundai, the Korean brands, are so good at styling in general right now. I mean, if anything, my one sort of throwaway observation is that this upsized Seltos is really close to Sportage, and Sportage is really close to Sereno, and Sereno is not that far off from Telluride. I mean, it's kind of this like sort of nesting doll thing. They have a lot to offer, but I feel like there's a lot of overlap there too.
Then you got the EV3. I'm kind of surprised that they're bringing this. I mean, I know much like Toyota, Kia, and Hyundai have a lot of electric vehicles. They're building them in the United States. This one is imported from South Korea, but they do seem committed to the electric market. But, you know, this is entry level. Maybe going to be priced around $35,000. They haven't said for sure yet. There's going to be entry level model, 220 miles of range. That's not a lot. And then another version with 320 miles of range. Competitive segment, you know, it's going to go right up against the Chevrolet Bolt, the Chevrolet Equinox. The funny thing about this is, even though they have the EV6 and the EV9, which the EV3 looks like a mini EV9, they had been planning on bringing the EV4, which was a compact sedan and hatchback. They've suspended that program and decided to bring the EV3 instead. What do you think the chances of this thing being a hit are?
Very hard to sort of guess here. We talk about it almost every week, right? What's the market for EVs? If it's priced right and people like it, the audience is there. I mean, Hyundai and Kia have a lot of EVs, and they've sort of proven their mettle here. I really think it just comes down to, you know, what's the, you know, the actual real person shopper that walks into a dealership. Are they going to look at that and say, oh, wow, that's great? Or are they just going to look at the new Seltos and go, well, I don't have to worry about anything else, and I can jump in this for pretty much the same price.
220 miles of range seems like a tough sell to me. 320, that might work.
I feel like that low range model is something that you will almost not see on dealer lots. Dealers are not going to buy something with what was considered decent range, you know, 6-8 years ago. If I had to guess, I would say anyone that you see on dealer lot is going to have the bigger battery, because I don't think that under 300 miles is a valid selling point anymore.
One more US built model that's been updated and revealed here is the new Volkswagen Atlas. And when I see new, I mean an evolution of the last Atlas. They've significantly updated it, but it does still use a new version of the platform, which interestingly enough originally went on sale, I think in 2018, which is right around when the Pacifica went on sale. But this does get a new body. It's got a new front end with the light bars and no grille, no upper grille. Kind of looks like an electric vehicle. And then the interior's got a full redesign with a big giant tablet and surprisingly no buttons and knobs, which had been a VW thing for a couple of years now, although they've admitted that people don't really like that and apparently are planning on bringing buttons and knobs back, but not in time for this one. 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, 282 horsepower. You know, this is a big, giant, roomy crossover SUV. They designed it originally specifically for the United States. I'm not even sure if they sell it anywhere else offhand.
Yeah, I don't believe that it really does, and it's in the most competitive of all the segments. That mid-size category. I mean, Pilot, Telluride, Palisade. That is a tough space, and you have to really sort of earn your keep there. So I'm very curious to see how it does. I think it looks great. I don't like the no buttons, you know, interior thing. As we all know, it takes years to, you know, to sort of properly develop and implement these changes that like even Volkswagen was talking about. So I guess we'll see how it goes. But for Volkswagen, I mean, that Tiguan and Taos, all three key U.S. market form factors and size classes spoken for, and all three of them pretty impressive, you know, in terms of look and materials and all that stuff.
And this one is a big seller. I was looking at the numbers the other day. It is one of their top sellers, not number one, but it's there. Got that and the Tiguan. And the Jetta actually surprisingly sells pretty well. Although I would expect most of those probably go to rental agencies.
Probably. It's funny, I was on Volkswagen's website the other day just poking around because I was curious, you know, like sort of updating my knowledge of what they had. And, you know, Jetta has a place because that's your gateway vehicle into the Volkswagen brand. I mean, they have an entry-level vehicle in Jetta that also has a cool version in GLI that you can, you know, get what is by all accounts, a good size, very useful, especially if you look at the GLI, fun to drive car that is not insanely expensive. Whereas as we know, both Golfs are high-end, high-performance models, so that takes, you know, that's it. I mean, Jetta is the gateway drug.
Volkswagen said they'll have a hybrid version of this at the mid-cycle refresh. So we're probably 3 or 4 years away from that, at which point this Atlas platform is going to be absolutely ancient. But I mean, I really, as I think Chrysler has proved, and Dodge and all those brands have proven over and over again, it really doesn't matter if the car is good. Why do we need to throw the baby out with the bathwater? Just update it.
There's plenty of cars that are out there now that even if they're technically, all new, they're evolved versions of core architecture. So if you can do the right thing in terms of styling and features and all that stuff, you can stretch the life of these platforms. I mean, it doesn't make them bad to drive just because the underlying architecture is old. You can pretty much change everything else around it and have what is effectively a brand new car that incorporates all the things that are designed to appeal, especially for Atlas, to like that family car buyer.
Speaking of old platforms, I almost forgot there's also another US-made vehicle here. It's the new Infiniti QX65, which is built in Tennessee and is basically one of these coupe SUV versions of the QX60, which is a big 3-row SUV like the Atlas. Now they've got this 2-row. A lot of people bust on Infiniti. Their lineup is definitely getting a little stale, but I kind of like the Infiniti vibe. I think the interiors are fantastic.
Yep, very good interiors. Exterior styling has always been good. This new car is great looking. I know that it's not like an FX, but it does project some of that Infiniti FX energy. Which, if you're Infiniti and you're having to work with, your existing, platforms, that are shared with Nissan and all that stuff, this is the way to do it. Good styling, cool colors, like you said, nice interior, stuff that photographs well. It's going to look good. People are happy to be seeing it.
And speaking of photographs well, the red paint has gold-coated glass flakes in it. Apparently they've used actual gold on this paint, and it really does look amazing on. Now, I'm not sure if the one they've got on the floor is $55,000. That's where the price point starts. But even in this price range, that is some spectacular paint.
Yeah, and those are the little small details, I think, that actually help these brands that Infiniti is on a bit of a sort of comeback direction right now, right? So this is a really important car, but it's, again, those little things like that looks expensive. It makes people feel better about it. You're trying to sell a luxury vehicle. In a luxury brand, it's those little things that you have to do to make it work.
All right, if we're gonna pick a winner for the show, I think it's gotta be hands down this thing, right?
Yeah, this thing, but also before we walked over here, I was looking at that Corvette Grand Sport in person for the very first time. That's like, if this is the winner, like you want to do the sort of car of the year type thing.
I guess this is
the truck of the show, but the car of the show is that Corvette Grand Sport.
Yeah, and I guess it is technically a debut here. This is probably the first time
debut
in public that it's been seen, even though they revealed it a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, it's absolutely a debut. It looks great. That traditional Grand Sport, colorway that it's got, in the blue with the white stripe and the red hash marks. It's awesome.
New York Auto Show. Who knew? Who expected this? It's been so many years since we had a decent show. I mean, a decent car show in general. I can't even remember the last one that I was like, wow, there's actually stuff to see and talk about as far as new product on this media day that we come to. The normal customers, they come and check it out.
Yeah, the normal customers are going to come and they're going to slam the doors on everything, and there's going to be a whole lot more cars on the floor than you see here during the media day. But yeah, I agree. Very eventful New York Auto Show. Still feels like the media day was over by lunchtime. But hey, they packed a lot in a small package, and now you and I can go get burgers.
Well, that's it for the auto show season. LA Auto Show in the fall, Detroit, Chicago, which used to be a thing, New York, and we're wrapped up again until Los Angeles in the fall. You think they can kick things up and have as much excitement going on as this one?
I feel like the automakers are starting to remember that there is value in debuting new things and using the shows, because yeah, it's not inexpensive to put this on, but it pays off in terms of the amount of attention you're able to get, not just from the media day, but this is going to be a mob scene all week next week with the public coming in.
And I give Hyundai and Kia credit because they've stuck by this show and they've been coming, and Subaru as well. Every year, even in these slow years, they've been taking advantage of it. They've been the big fish in the empty pond.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can be the story if you have stories to tell, and they always make sure they have stories to tell.
Well, hopefully we'll have stories to tell next week. We won't be at the auto show, but definitely coming back for another gas show. So, Alex, good to see you in person. We're always doing this remotely and digitally, but this was a lot of fun. The Gas is a production of A-Car Media and American Cars and Racing.com.